As we approach the new year, we're breaking down some of the most talked about legal battles between the state of Oregon and the Trump administration. And when I say most talked about, I mean I'm giving you a recap of some of the stories that got the most engagement on our website. The first story is none other than the National Guard deployment to Portland. In September, President Donald Trump put out a social media post in which he said Portland was, quote, war-ravaged. He said this after seeing protests happening outside the ICE facility. Quick refresher, since President Trump took office, folks have been protesting increased deportations outside of the ICE facility. So the state of Oregon filed suit, arguing that the president did not have the authority to deploy the National Guard. By law, the president can authorize the National Guard into a state if there's a rebellion, an invasion, or if the president is unable to enforce federal law. Ultimately, judges sided with Oregon, ruling that protests outside the ICE facility did not rise to any of those levels, though the Trump administration has appealed those decisions. All right, number two story. The Oregon Attorney General sued United States Department of Health and Services over Secretary RFK Jr.'s declaration that HHS can bar providers from participating in Medicaid if they allow kids to receive gender-affirming care. Oregon Attorney General Rayfield is making a number of legal arguments against this declaration. One of them is that RFK Jr. does not have the authority to define the professional standard of care that is due to patients. We'll keep you updated on what happens with this case. The third story is the tariff lawsuit. The state of Oregon joined other states to challenge a slew of President Trump's tariffs. Remember, there was a 145% tariff on most products from China. Experts estimated that the cost of living for Oregonians would increase about $4,000 a year due to all of the tariffs. Rayfield argued that the president does not have the authority to impose taxes and tariffs because that right is only given to Congress under Article 1 of the Constitution. Ultimately, the federal court sided with Rayfield. The Trump administration has appealed that decision. Last but not least, in January, the state of Oregon sued the Trump administration over the freezing of federal funds. The Trump administration announced that it was freezing federal funding that was already awarded to essentially audit overspending. In Oregon, nonprofits that work with counties on social issues like domestic violence were concerned that they wouldn't be able to stay afloat. So the court ultimately sided with Oregon, ruling that the president could not impose new conditions on funding that had already been awarded. All right, that's what I have for you today. If you have any topics you want us to break down, you can email us at newstips@katu.com with Let's Talk Legal in the subject line. I'm Tanvi Verma. I went to law school so that you don't have to.